What if the world never cared about your happiness, and every positive thought you forced was just another mask over an ancient wound? What if the real lie wasn't your darkness, but the idea that you should never feel it? You've been trained to smile through pain, to manifest your way out of emptiness, to outrun silence with optimism. But if positivity was the cure, why are you still restless? Why does the ache return the moment distraction ends? Maybe the truth is older than hope. Maybe suffering isn't a glitch in the system, but the system itself. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Schopenhauer understood this long before the age of motivation. Life, he said, swings between pain and boredom, a pendulum powered by desire. Not your desire, the will's. The blind, persistent, unthinking force that pushes all life to want endlessly. Positive thinking tells you that your mind is in control. But if your mind truly ruled your life, you wouldn't still be chasing things that never satisfy you. The lie is not that you feel negative. The lie is that you were taught to fight inevitable truths with forced optimism. And that's where the illusion begins. Everything alive is driven by the same engine, the will. Not the personal will you imagine, but the universal, unconscious force that pulls every creature toward survival, struggle, and desire. You were born into this machinery. You breathe because the will breathes through you. You want because the will wants through you. Your goals, ambitions, and cravings are its instruments. Your personality is the story it tells to disguise its hunger. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Positive thinking claims you can rise above nature by choosing the right thoughts. But how do you control what you didn't create? Desire arises without permission. Fear erupts without warning. Sadness returns without mercy. You do not summon these states. They summon you. Schopenhauer wrote that every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. Positive thinkers see the world through the narrow lens of self-delusion, believing emotions obey intention and reality obeys imagination. But reality obeys nothing. The will pushes you forward whether you want it or not. It forces you to strive, struggle, want, regret, repeat. Positive thinking doesn't defeat the will. It disguises it. And that's where the illusion begins. There is a fracture inside you. The gap between what you're told to feel and what you actually feel. You're expected to be hopeful in a world built on conflict, grateful in a system designed for dissatisfaction, confident in the face of uncertainty. The contradiction tears at you. You chase happiness. You fight unhappiness. You exhaust yourself trying to dominate emotions that were never yours to command. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Every time you fail to stay positive, you blame yourself. But the failure isn't yours. It belongs to the myth that emotion is a machine you can reprogram. Suffering is not a glitch. It is woven into the structure of existence. The will ensures that once you obtain what you desire, the wanting simply shifts. From excitement to boredom, from fulfillment to restlessness. This cycle is not personal. It is universal. You cannot escape it with affirmations. And that's where the illusion begins. Consider Ethan. He filled notebooks with affirmations. He visualized success until his mind burned. And for a while, life rewarded him. A better job, a brighter relationship, a more polished identity. But the brightness faded. His new apartment became ordinary. His partner became familiar. His achievements stopped thrilling him. The will had simply upgraded its cravings. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. One night, he realized he wasn't fulfilled. He was distracted. Every milestone became another starting point. Every victory decayed into boredom. Positive thinking hadn't empowered him. It had blinded him to the truth. He wasn't chasing dreams. Dreams were chasing him. When he finally saw this, the facade collapsed. Not because he was weak, but because he awakened. And that's where the illusion begins. Modern life is engineered to intensify desire. Social media feeds you a stream of curated dreams, bodies, wealth, lifestyles, happiness on display like a marketplace of illusions. Every scroll reinforces a message. You are not enough yet. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Influencers preach positivity as if it were divine truth. Smile, believe, attract. But the universe does not operate on smiles. It operates on survival, on biology, on the will. You don't scroll because you choose to. You scroll because the will seeks stimulation. You do not chase goals because they matter. You chase them because wanting is the engine of life. Positive thinking promises control, but desire is not controlled. It is endured. The lie is not that optimism exists. The lie is that optimism can save you from the nature of being alive, and that's where the illusion begins. There comes a moment where striving collapses. Your ambition feels heavy. Your goals feel hollow. Your positivity feels forced. You become tired, not physically, not mentally, but existentially. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. You begin to see patterns. Every desire ends in disappointment. Every happiness is temporary. Every victory fades. You realize the will never meant for you to find peace, only to persist. This is where awareness begins. Not hopeful, not comforting, but piercing. And in that silence, you realize awareness comes with a price. You cannot unsee the machinery. You cannot forget the illusion. You cannot return to naivete. The midpoint is the fracture where the truth leaks in, and that's where the illusion begins to die. Here lies the descent. You begin to understand that everything you pursued was built on illusions. Success, happiness, meaning, redemption through effort. You weren't chasing these things freely. You were being moved toward them. The will whispered in the language of ambition. Society translated it into positivity. And for a moment the world feels quiet. You see now that the will does not reward you for thinking good thoughts. It does not punish you for negativity. It does not care. If positive thinking dictated reality, children would never suffer, the innocent would never lose, and the broken would never bleed. But the world is not engineered for fairness. It's engineered for continuation. Your dreams were bait. Your emotions were tools. Your optimism was camouflage. Then comes the darkest truth. Your desires were never yours. They were the will's impulses, wearing your voice. Wanting love, wanting status, wanting pleasure, wanting escape. You mistake these impulses for identity, but they are simply the will, recycling itself through you. This is the collapse, when illusion dies and truth stands naked. But collapse is not the end. It is an opening, and that's where a deeper clarity begins. Clarity begins with honesty, with taking off the lens of forced positivity and seeing life as it is. Schopenhauer did not demand despair. He demanded perception. When you see the will's machinery, its power diminishes. The desires still arise, but you stop worshiping them. The fears still whisper, but you question their authority. The goals still call, but they no longer define you. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. This is detachment, Not numbing, not apathy, but understanding. You stop expecting happiness to be permanent. You stop expecting desire to deliver meaning. You stop expecting the mind to obey fantasy. This is not pessimism. It is realism. Positive thinking demands control. Schopenhauer encourages clarity, and clarity frees you from illusion, even when it cannot free you from suffering. Freedom begins not in conquering emotions, but in no longer believing their stories. And that's where truth begins. When illusions fall away, what remains is space. Raw, silent, unpolished space. You begin to breathe without expectation. You begin to feel without judgment. You begin to exist without the burden of forced optimism. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Freedom is not the absence of suffering. Freedom is the absence of illusion. You stop chasing constant happiness and begin appreciating brief moments of peace. You stop fearing solitude and begin recognizing it as clarity. You stop demanding meaning and begin witnessing reality without distortion. Schopenhauer said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, not because life is hopeless, but because solitude reveals truth." When you stop running from discomfort, you stop living as a slave to desire. You do not defeat the will. You step outside its hypnosis. And in that detachment, a quiet strength appears. Not naive positivity, not blind hope, but clear-eyed acceptance. And that is where liberation begins. So we return to the beginning. What if the real lie wasn't your negative thinking, but the demand to think positively in a universe that does not bend to your hopes? Positive thinking promised salvation, but it delivered exhaustion. It asked you to fight the shadows with affirmation instead of understanding why the shadows exist. But shadows disappear not when you smile at them, but when you stop fearing what they reveal. And for a moment, the world feels quiet. Schopenhauer's truth was harsh, but it was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to remove the blindfold. Life is suffering. Desire is endless. Freedom is limited. But once you see these truths clearly, they lose the power to terrify you. You stop bargaining with reality. You stop negotiating with pain. You stop pretending that thought alone can rewrite existence. You accept what is. You see what moves you. You step out of illusion. And in that step, you discover a softer, quieter liberation. Because once you see the illusion clearly, it can never own you again. Clarity doesn't heal you. It frees you.